Well, good evening. Thank you so very much for inviting me to be here today. It is a real honor for me to be in Fullerton, at Cal State Fullerton, a school that I always wanted to attend. Every time, every morning, my mom drove by Cal State Fullerton on our way to make strawberries, Placencia, Irvine, and Fullerton. I dreamt, and I kept telling myself, one day I will go to Cal State Fullerton. My dream diverted slightly. I actually went to college in Massachusetts instead. But it's a real honor, and I was just thrilled to fly here from Washington, D.C. yesterday to be amongst all of you and congratulate our students, congratulate our parents, the faculty, and Cal State Fullerton for such a tremendous accomplishment of all of the students. So I think that Cal State Fullerton is faculty, staff, professors, everyone here really deserves a round of applause. And I commend all of you. I want to personally thank Dr. Faith Hagan for inviting me today and congratulate you and your leaders in Cal State Fullerton for all the wonderful accomplishments that you have achieved today. And I do want to let you know that I will come back to Cal State Fullerton to recruit, because I am very much involved and very much interested as part of my job, but also as a moral imperative to make sure that I'm going back to the communities where I once lived. And I want to let you know right now that the Securities and Exchange Commission and a new agency for which I am currently working on a detailed assignment, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is seeking talented students and talented professionals to join their teams. So I look forward to coming back at a future date. I also want to thank Dr. Suarez for extending this invitation for me to be here with you tonight, and Dr. Cervantes for sending me that letter of invitation. I want to thank the graduation committee for putting this wonderful event together, and the Chicano Latino Faculty and Staff Association. So thank you very much for having this tremendous event tonight. If I may, I would like to say a few words to our Spanish-speaking parents. A los padres de los estudiantes que están hoy con nosotros, felicidades. Este es un gran triunfo para ustedes, sus hijos y la comunidad. Y francamente, yo sé que han hecho muchísimos sacrificios todos ustedes para que sus hijos hoy día estén cerca del bachillerato. Y lo sé muy bien, porque más de 20 años mis padres también hicieron ese sacrificio. Yo nací en una ranchería en Pénjamo, Guanajuato. Y al llegar aquí, ya sabía que iba a tener patriotas y parientes en esta audiencia. ¿Quién es el zapote de ese estado? ¿Alguien? ¿Pénjamo? Okay. Zapote de ese estado es the village where I was born. Y a los 5 años y medio, mis padres nos trajeron para los Estados Unidos. Yo también fui un dreamer antes de que tuviera este nombre, porque yo no tenía permiso de estar aquí en los Estados Unidos. Y cuando empecé a pensar sobre dónde iba yo a seguir mis estudios, pensé que tendría que regresar a México para poder seguir estudiando. Y gracias al colegio donde yo me gradué, el college, el colegio decidió de tomarme como una estudiante internacional. Así que yo estoy aquí representándoles que sí es posible tener una educación, aunque no tengamos papeles. Porque por mucho tiempo yo no tuve papeles. Y cuando hablo con personas de por qué hay tanta inmigración, personas que en realidad quizás no tengan ese conocimiento personal, yo siempre les respondo, es que tenemos sueños y tenemos esperanza. Y cuando muere la esperanza, quiere decir que no tenemos sueños. Pero para nosotros, el sueño americano de tener educación, de tener una habilidad, de poder seguir adelante, de llevar a nuestras familias para seguir adelante, mucho más de lo que pudimos nosotros mismos. Y eso es lo importante, porque aquí, y y yo soy testigo de eso. Aquí se cumplen los sueños. Aquí en este país podemos tener esperanza de tener educación, de tener una carrera, de poder sacar a nuestra familia adelante. Y por eso les doy muchísimas gracias y reconocimiento a los padres, porque ustedes tuvieron ese sueño de traer a sus hijos para este país. Y sí, es bastante duro tener todos los sacrificios que ustedes tuvieron que hacer. Mis padres sacrificaron tener muchísimas cosas para poder darnos la educación a 7 hijos. Y no era fácil en ese tiempo. Así que felicidades a todos los padres, les deseo muchísimo éxito a sus hijos y es importante de seguir apoyándoles en el futuro. And to our students, I was thinking about if I were you, what was it that I would want to hear from someone who was speaking at your graduation ceremony or at this event. And what I really realized was that I was in your seat over 20 years ago. So my lingo and perhaps my strategy of sharing with you some bits of advice may be a little bit off, but that is what I would like to give to you tonight, if you will allow me. I think the very first message that I would give you is to dream big and dream often, because without dreams you may not have goals, you may not have objectives, and without objectives or goals you don't have a strategy, and without a strategy you may not have an ability to move forward. I was sharing with the parents a couple seconds ago that as a kid I dreamt about coming to the Cal State Fullerton campus and actually being a student here. And I had a very big dream when I was 10 years old. And I remember distinctly when it took place. It was actually at one of the strawberry fields where I was there picking as an adult. And people make fun of my name because it's Isla and I'm supposed to be tall, and I'm not. And that's the way it is. And part of the reason why my mom thinks that I am not tall is because as a kid, I was carrying all these strawberry trays. And that's what she likes to say, but I'm not really sure. I think it's just in part of the DNA. But at that point, when I saw so many injustices with the workers, I realized that I did not want to live my life as a strawberry picker. They are honest, absolutely honest individuals. They work super hard, but 8 hours of bent over backwards was just not what I envisioned for me. And specifically, I did not want to be in an environment where I was denied water, where I was denied restroom breaks. And if you were a favorite of the supervisors, you would get water and restroom breaks, but if you were not, you would actually have to wait until a break time was called. And it was at that time that I decided I wanted to become an attorney or a doctor. Now, high school taught me something different. That is that I'm not good at science and I'm not good at math. So my options were limited to being an attorney. And I'm very grateful that I am one today. I want to commend the students Carlos, Reyes, Reese, and Laura Pinero, and all the dreamers graduating from Cal State Fullerton. I'm not going to ask you to identify yourselves, but I know that we have a lot of dreamers in this particular room. And I want to let you know that there are many of us who really believe in the cause, and we're doing our very best and our part to make sure that we fulfill your dreams, that we take responsibility, and that we're part of a bigger community pushing forward your dreams. You're not alone. I happen to have a wonderful professor in law school. His name is Cruz. He's a former Supreme Court Justice in California. And in my role as the director of the SEC of the Equal Employment Opportunity Office, we invited him to speak at our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration in October. And I had a great conversation with him afterwards. And we started talking about the fact that here we are, many years later, and we're still talking about the same thing. We're still talking about getting our students to have an education, getting our students, undocumented students, to have that right to an education. And we were just in shock, if you will, because he shared with me that when he was growing up, there were many of his friends who were facing the same situation. When I was growing up, I was facing the same situation. And now, over 20 years later, we're in the same situation. And sadly, history does repeat itself. But fortunately, if I was able to get my green card, if I was able to get my citizenship, so will all of you. And I'm very thinking that that will definitely happen. It's just going to be a matter of time. So hang in there, keep on studying, keep on pushing forward, and making sure that no matter what, you understand that it's imperative that you keep on with your plans, with your dreams, and with your career goals. I also want to share with all of our students that it's imperative that you have a passion for what you do beyond Cal State Fullerton. One of the questions that I always ask people who want to work with me is, what is your passion? Because I want people who are passionate about the work that we do. The work that we do is making sure that we are as inclusive as possible in the federal government. And I want to let you know that the federal government, we need more people like yourselves joining our ranks. So be passionate about the work that you do, because sometimes the work that I do is not always recognized. But it's imperative that someone does that work, and I'm happy to be that someone. I also want to always remind you to always do your best. You are a reflection of the communities from which you come. So it's important that whatever it is that you try to accomplish, that you do it with excellence. That you do it within the best capability that you have, because you do represent our communities. The third message that I have for you is persevere, persevere, persevere. I like to say that no is just another way of people trying to tell me yes, or not yet, Alta. Okay. But it's important that as you go forward in life, you try to figure out, how do I get that person to yes? There are many ways of climbing a mountain, and you just have to figure out which is the best way for me to climb the mountain right now. How do I get to that goal? Is it because right now is not a time for me to get to that goal? Or is it because I just don't have the tools to get there, or the strategy is missing? So always remember that no is just another way of saying yes, but not yet. The fourth message that I have for you is always take pride in what you have accomplished and from where you come. It's very easy sort of to get lost as you begin your career. Day in, day out, you're working many, many hours, and you forget to realize how much you have accomplished, and the fact that you have come a long way from where you first started. And you must take pride in what you have done, because no one else will but you. And I want you to always remember too, the pride that we have in having our first Latina Supreme Court Justice. As a lawyer and as a Latina in Washington, D.C., let me tell you that one of my proudest moments was 2 years ago, when I was going to a Hispanic Heritage Gala at the Kennedy Center. I'm walking up the stairs, and who do I see driving in but a man carrying Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor and her family. And I do tend to talk a lot, but I was at a loss for words when I met her. I was so much at a loss for words that I forgot to ask her if I could take a picture with her. So no one will believe that I actually met Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. I don't have the evidence to prove it. And finally, I know that I am the one who stands between the conclusion of this event and the festivities. So I would like to conclude by offering you 7 tips. Choose however many of them feel right for you to continue to follow. The first tip that I have for the students is be bold and courageous. When you look back on your life, you'll regret the things you didn't do more than the ones that you did. My second tip, strive for excellence, not perfection. But give your best to your employer. It's one of the best investments you can make. And on the topic of investments, it would be remiss of me not to put in a plug for the SEC and the CFPB. And I want to share with you the third tip. Never invest more in the stock market than you can afford to lose. And don't be fooled. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Run. And run as fast as you can. And for our students, in particular, watch out for credit card debt. That can ruin you for a long time. Tip number 4, take care of your reputation. I have found time and again that it is my most important asset. And you will soon find this out as well. And it's because of my reputation at the SEC that I was asked to set up a new office for this new agency, where I will be setting up, or I am right now, setting up the Office of EEO, Employee Engagement and Diversity. So always make sure that you have the most impeccable reputation, because it's the hardest thing to build, but the easiest one to destroy. For our entrepreneurs, this is tip number 5. Don't delay acting on a good idea. Guess what? Someone else is thinking about it as well. And whoever gets to market first is the one who succeeds. So act quickly right after the conclusion of this event. Tip number 6. Become the most positive and enthusiastic person you know. And leave everything a little bit better than you found it. And I would also add, make sure that when you're firmly established in your career, that you help others coming behind you to reach their goals and objectives. It is about community, and it is about bettering our community for future generations to come. And finally, my last tip is never give up on what you really want to do, and never, ever stop dreaming. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all.